warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Future Millennials Podcast. I'm Anis, your host for today. And for those who are wondering, or this is your first time watching, this podcast is a platform for future millennials to gain inspiration in finding solutions in today's world. You can watch our podcast on our social media, on YouTube at IUMFM, and do follow us on our social media on Instagram at IUM_FM and on TikTok at IUM.FM. And today is a little bit different from other episodes because we are delighted to have a collaboration with IUM Gombak Peers. So what is IUM Gombak Peers? It is a club under the purview of Counseling and Career Service Center in IUM. So do follow them on their Instagram at PeersIUM, around you for you. So, and with that, we're also thrilled to have with us someone who brings a lot of inspirations and experience in the clinical and counseling area. Welcome, Ms. Izzat, to Future Millennials. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
How do you feel about coming back here?
It feels great because I think this university is where I am bred, and to come back here, to be here again, I think I'm really happy.
Yeah, glad to know that because when we come back to a place where we create a lot of memories and experience, right, it must be good. So for your information, Ms. Izzat binti Zaid is a registered clinical psychologist, job coach, and a passionate advocate for mental health and neurodiversity. She is also an alumni of International Islamic University Malaysia and holds both a master's degree in clinical psychology and a bachelor's degree in psychology. With over 3 years of experience, she specialized in trauma-informed care and tailored intervention, particularly for individuals with adult ADHD. And she is also a managing director for Minda Inclusive. For information, Minda Inclusive is a startup company and providing screening, evaluation, psychotherapy intervention services to the neurodivergent population in Malaysia, as well as other diagnoses of mental disorders. So Ms. Izzat is also a vice president of the Malaysian Adult ADHD Society. She has been instrumental in advancing mental health awareness and support across Malaysia. Ms. Izzat is also a certified trainer and dynamic speaker who has collaborated with renowned organizations like Petronas and University Malaya to deliver impactful mental health programs. And as for today, she joined us to share her expertise on empowering mental health supports, offering valuable insight into how we can build a more inclusive and understanding society. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ms. Izzat binti Zaid. So for our viewers, especially those who are eager in learning more about mental health, this episode is packed with a valuable insight about mental health support with the topic of empowering mental health support. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am. So without further ado, let us start our discussion with the first questions. So about today's topic, empowering mental health support. When we talk about mental health, people always say about maybe the problems, the issues that are happening, but people forget about the support that we should give to those people who are struggling with mental health. So in your opinion, how can we define empowering mental health support, and what role does it play in individual and community well-being, and is it important for someone to have support?
Okay, there's 3 questions in one. One question. So which one would you like me to answer first? Let's go one by one.
Defining the
mental health support. I think what I believe, if we're talking about empowering, we are talking about helping or giving resources so that people could take action on their own. Like when we feel empowered, right? Or a kid, let's say a kid feeling empowered, they have that sense of hey, I can do this on my own. As simple as I would have you all imagine, if for example the kid wants to take water on his own, we teach the kid how to do it, and then the kid could do that, right? So that's empowerment. okay, allowing someone to take action and solve their own problem. So in the setting of mental health, I believe of course we as a mental health professional will helping clients directly, but if you're talking about empowering the support as a whole, we could actually share or provide skills to the public so that the public themselves can be someone who support others who's having any mental health issues. So I think one example is in organizations. Right now we have a lot of organizations, mental health organizations that offers mental health first aid. If you ever heard of have you ever heard of mental health first aid? So it's like first aid, if we are skilled or we are trained to provide help to someone that we see is having any medical issues, but that's first aid, like physical first aid, right? Of doing CPR and stuff like that before the actual help arrive. So mental health first aid works similar, meaning if you see someone having an anxiety, a very strong anxiety response, having a panic attack, or someone you might see the changes, someone might be feeling you see that this person might feel depressed. So as a friend, as a family member, you know how to help this person, and if the case is more severe, then you know where to resource this person. So I think that's, if you talk about the word empowering mental support, is actually making more and more people having knowledge how to help someone who's struggling with mental health issues.
Okay, I see. So you talk about mental health first aid, right? So of course you will meet a lot of people in your work, but do you ever experience meeting someone like who have like, and you do the mental health first aid outside your work?
Outside of work, I think on a general basis with friends, with family members, I don't do therapy with them. I would just see and how I can help them, even as simple as listening, like, oh, if you need anyone to listen, then I'll be here. If you need to express your emotion, then you can just do that. I'll just sit beside you and allow you. If you feel anxious, I'll help you to, let's take some deep breath, do simple things like that to actually help them cope or feel better.
So like you said, I can conclude that it is good to have like a support from someone, right? Like having a support so that you can keep going.
Yes. I always tell my client this, in life we need 2 types of vitamin C. So maybe I can throw the question to the audience. Okay, you can type in the comment, what's the first vitamin C that we need, or anyone wants to answer. What's the first vitamin C that we need to be healthy? No, again.
Sunlight.
Okay, sunlight is not vitamin C, it's vitamin D. Okay, it's vitamin C that we need from fruits, from orange, right?
Yes.
We need that to be healthy, right? To have a radiant skin and things like that. But there's a second vitamin C that is also essential for a good health, both physical and mental health, which is vitamin connect. C is for connect. So having quality connection with your friends, even with animals. That's why during COVID, a lot of people who have pets, they could cope better during that time, that difficult time. With Allah, having a good connection, it serves as a protective factor from us having, when we face challenges, we may have more protective factors that protect us from developing mental illness. So these 2 vitamins is very important. So ask yourself, do you take these 2 vitamins every day?
Only one.
Only one. So if it's only one, think about how do you add another vitamin to your daily intake as well. So vitamin C from food and vitamin connect is very important. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, remember everyone, you need to always take 2 vitamin C. Okay. So we're talking about mental health issue. It is like a growing issue nowadays, especially in our generations. And of course, we can actually find a lot of information about mental health on social media. But there are some people out there who actually don't give their concern on mental health as much as some people. So maybe when they label someone who is struggling with mental health as weak or being an attention seeker. So how do we actually overcome this from keep on happening these days?
Come again, the question is, it's a very long question, so make it short for me.
How do we overcome people who like keep on judging people who have mental health?
So you're talking about stigma.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a very long introduction. I'm like trying to catch it. Okay. So I think stigma exists just anywhere around the world. And I think with mental health, maybe the first stigma that I want to address is like the word mental health itself. For some people, it could be scary. Like you hear mental health, you're like, oh, I'm staying away from this topic. I'm not going to talk about mental health. Or I hear people say like, oh no, I have mental health. And I'm like, everyone does have mental health. It's just like physical health. It's health. It's either our mental health is in a good condition or it's not doing well. So I think that's the very first misconception, that people thought mental health is actually a bad thing, but it's what everybody has, and everybody has to take care of our own mental health. We're responsible, just like we're responsible for our physical health. So that's the first thing. Don't be scared of the word mental health. It's something we all do have. But yeah, looking at how people view those struggling with mental health issues as something bad, I think battling the stigma has to come first with awareness and education, normalizing that people may struggle at one point of their life as human. I think even as a Muslim, it's promised upon us that we will be tested. So that's something that I personally believe, like, you know, losing family member at one point of our life, or experiencing failure, or something that we don't expect, we get into accidents, and those can really affect our own mental health.
Yeah, I agree that education and awareness is really important, especially with this mental health topic. So you mentioned like, okay, when people are normalized with this mental health thing, so they are willing to help people. But sometimes people don't know how to actually, like, maybe not, they cannot contribute to their friends with maybe action, but they want to comfort them or give some words of affirmations to them, but maybe sometimes they don't know what words can hurt them or what words cannot hurt them. So do you think you can give like maybe 3 like words of affirmations that is good for us to give to our friends who are struggling with mental health?
Okay, maybe I can give a scenario to you, Anis. If you're feeling sad, what would you want people to tell you? Oh, you have one. Okay. Yes.
For me, I want food.
You what?
Not tell people that, like, maybe like I nak belanja you makan.
Oh, let me treat you something nice.
That would make temporarily happy lah.
Okay. Let's wish we have a lot of rich friends to do that for us. Just kidding, but okay. I just want to have something comfort. Okay. Anis, what would you want to hear people say to you?
I would want them to maybe say that it's okay, like you can take a rest, or like don't be sad, but your feeling is valid, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay, that's one. We got one already. Anyone else? Maybe let's hear. I'll hear from you, and I'll tell the camera. What else do you want to? What do you want people to say to you if you're struggling or if you're having problem? It's okay. It's okay to. Okay, it's okay to feel that way. Yeah. So we have 2. Another one. Last one. Huh? You can do this. Yeah, you can do this. You can get through this. I believe in you. But yeah, so those are words that can be helpful. But I think I would highlight one thing for us as a listener. What we can do is to just validate their experience. Validating means whatever that they experience is true to them. It may not make sense to us. Like for us, maybe we think like, this is a small problem, I can definitely handle this. But for this person is struggling at that point. So we may not be able to be in their shoes, but some words that can help is like, I understand, or I can see that you're going through a difficult time and I'm here. Is there anything that I can do to help? I would do that because I don't know what, I can't read their mind. I don't know what they want. And usually I will just ask them, anything that I can do for you. So sometimes they will just answer, just stay here, just sit here with me, or can we go out somewhere where I can just distress myself? Is it okay to just take a walk somewhere? And I'm like, okay, sure. I have time at this hour. Let's just go and take a walk. So I would usually ask them, what can I do for you? How can I help you? So let them be the one telling me, like how. Yeah.
I understand. So as we know, every challenge exists in the world, especially if we encounter issues like mental health. So what do you think are the biggest barriers to access mental health support in Malaysia, and how can they be addressed?
Okay, accessing support. I think number one, the biggest of all that I can look into is self-stigma. It's not stigma from others, but stigma within ourselves, in which we may belittle our problem, telling ourselves like, I think I can still hold on, or I think I shouldn't feel this way. I should just suck it up and continue, even though you're already losing sleep, you're already crying every day, but you just think like, okay, I'm just going to get through this on my own. I need to be strong. I need to wake up, force myself. So, and having thoughts that if I go and seek help, it means I'm actually weak. So the stigma comes from within, not from other people. No one tells you like that, but it's you who think that way. So the barrier comes from that self-stigma, actually, in which I think is very common to hear from my clients. Typically, I think they would have, until the point that they come and see me, they would probably been struggling for years, not months, for years. When I ask them, how long have you feel this way? Oh, since last year. Oh, since 3 years ago. That's a long time struggling, until maybe to a point that they couldn't cope anymore. Not couldn't cope, it's really affecting too much, then only they come to seek help. But if, say for example, the reality is when you're already at a severe level, and at that time you were asking for help from the mental health professional, the reality in Malaysia is that we don't have enough resources to meet everyone's demand. For example, if you go to the government, you may have to wait for 3 months, 5 months, sometimes 6 months before you get an appointment. And imagine you're already at the peak of the, like your thread. If you're hanging by a thread, it's like almost snapping, then only you go and seek help, and that would be even more difficult, because I can't do this anymore and I really need someone, but then I have to wait for a long time, and sometimes even waiting list can be up to a year. So before that happen, before the rope is almost snapping, you can actually reach out help earlier. So if you need time to wait, at least you have already seeken support from your friend, from your family, for example, while waiting to see a professional. So when it's time to see a professional, you're in a state where probably you're still struggling, but you're not at the end of at the severe level lah. So I think break that. Our first thing is breaking our own stigma lah. If we do need help, it doesn't have to be with a counselor, psychologist like me, or a psychiatrist. It could be as simple as going to the lecturer to ask for some help, going to someone you feel is wiser and could really give you good advice, who you really trust. So just go and seek out help from people who know can help you. And then if you decided to meet a mental professionals, you can do that at any time.
Yeah, I think I can relate with that because I used to be hard on myself. I mean, not the level and loving myself enough. But I think recently I've been trying to love myself more. And I found like one quote saying like, it doesn't matter whether you are drowning in a 10-meter pool or a 100-meter pool, you are still drowning.
Yeah.
So, all the problems and our feelings are valid.
Yep.
So another question. So, because you're a psychologist and meet various people and problem, how do you adapt your mental health intervention for clients from diverse cultural and socio-economic backgrounds?
Okay, that's a good question. The mindset that I always keep within me as I meet my client is that I'm here to understand my client. So regardless of their background, their race, their even their orientation, I'm there in front of them trying to listen to what they go through. So I do my best to be objective, to not be, how do I say, even if I have a certain assumption like, oh, this person is Chinese, this person is a Muslim, I do my best to listen from their perspective. So regardless of their background, if I don't understand, I'm just going to ask, like, what do you mean by this? Is this what you mean when you say this? So I try to take a step back from making assumption when I talk to my clients, so that whatever that they shared to me, I would listen, I would validate, and I'll try to help them in a way that's workable for them. Because for me, human beings are different. Even if I compare someone from the same race or the same religion, they may have different experience growing up. So we don't know about that. So our role is just to be there, be present, listen to them, and see how we can help them. Even I recognize my limit lah. If I feel like, oh, your issue is not something that I am expert in, I'll refer you to someone I know who can help you better. So it's not everyone that I am able to I try my best to help, but if it's outside of my expertise, I still help them by resourcing them to the right person lah.
Yeah, I agree. Like every day we can learn more stuff every day, right?
Yeah.
So I think everyone are eager to learning more, but we'll take a break for a second. So stay tuned and don't forget to follow our social media on YouTube IIUMFM, Instagram IIUM_FM, and on TikTok at IIUMFM. And also do follow our collaborations, peers at Peers IIUM, around you for you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are back in Future Millennial Podcast. You can watch our podcast on YouTube at IIUMFM, and do check us out on our social media on Instagram at IIUM_FM and on TikTok at IIUM.FM. And do follow follow Instagram peers at peersium. Around you for you. So before the break, we already talked about a lot of things regarding our topic today. So I will continue because I read a lot. I read in the beginning about your experience in many different places. So based on your corporate training experience, can you give us 3 actionable steps organization can take to create a mentally healthy workplace, even for students in university?
Okay, wait, I wrote this down. Let me see. Let me just see. Okay, so to create a, what do you call that? Sustainable mental health supportive environment, is it? I'll just put it into an acronym that I built myself, LEA, Chewa, LEA. So I think talking about any form of mental health issues, or even things that I always talk about, neurodiversity, the differences in the way brain works. If you want to make it a mental health friendly, supportive environment, the first is L is listen. Listen kan. Dia dah nak nyanyi dah ni. Listen, meaning without making assumption. If you really want to know what's going on, have a conversation with that person. You know, if the person is saying to you, I'm not doing okay, I'm struggling, sit with that person and learn what's going on. You know, tell me what's going on. Be open to listening. And when I say listen, it's not listen to advice, it's not listen to reply, it's listening to understand. Because sometimes we listen, but we're like, oh, okay, you have this problem, then let's do this. Oh, okay, you have this, then you need to do this. You need to try this. So put that away. Just focus on listening to understand what this person is going through. Number 2 is to educate. Educate meaning the more that people are aware about mental health, about support, then, like I said, people know then what to do, or even who to resource that person to. Say, for example, I know like, oh, you're feeling really sad, Anis, you cannot sleep, you lose your appetite, it sounds like feels like I'm hearing maybe you have symptoms of depression. Maybe I can bring you to the counselor and we go together and see how the counselor or psychologist can help. Do you want me to accompany you? So yeah, listen, and then being educated about mental health issues allows you to actually grab some understanding, like, hey, this might be going on. So and the last one that I would like to highlight is accommodate. Accommodate is giving some help, some form of changes for people who may struggle. Say, for example, if a person, let me talk from the perspective of neurodivergent. If a person has ADHD and you understand that, oh, for ADHD, this is what this person go through and struggle, and this person has problems meeting deadline. So as lecturers or as friend, you may be doing some extra steps to help this student, such as reminding this student that, hey, deadline is coming soon, the due date is coming soon, I'm reminding you. Or if the person is really struggling and couldn't meet that deadline, maybe as a lecturer, you can be open to like, okay, I'm going to give you some extension because probably of something that you may struggle. Or a person with autism who may have sensory issues and can feel overwhelmed in situations that have a lot of noises, right? So you can maybe, if the person need help in terms of sitting in exam in a quiet environment so that the person can focus, then you actually be more aware, like, okay, this student is autistic, and we may need to consciously know where to, sit this person in a exam hall. As simple as that. So this accommodation could help people to be more, how do I say, to have more support And say with anxiety, with other mental health issues, if a student needs to go to the doctor, if a student needs to meet with a counselor, then having that flexibility, oh, it's okay, you may come to my office later, say like lecturer, you may come to my office later to catch up, but then you can take a go to the doctor and seek treatment there. So those accommodation could help as well to allow this person to thrive lah.
Okay, so from what you said, so we need to listen, educate, and accommodate.
Yeah.
So I'll put that in mind so I can help other.
Yeah, even as friend, right? If your friend is struggling, like, oh, it's okay, maybe if it's hard for you to do it on your own, maybe I can accompany you and we do the assignment together rather than doing it on our own. So that's also accommodating actually.
Okay, so like from the educate, right? So people can give a lot of awareness about mental health, and we can learn more about mental health. But I don't know, but is it possible if if the person themselves don't want, maybe they don't reach out for help, so they don't do anything to reach out for help, but can we still like help them? Like,
we can. I believe if a person, it's typical to see, for example, if a person has depression, they will start isolating themselves. You see, they will say a lot of no's. It's okay, I don't think I'm joining today. It's okay, you guys go ahead lah, I'm just gonna be in my room. Probably there are some changes in their behavior we can see. If we are willing to help and we can help, just go and reach out to them to help. Maybe that itself, being with them, like I said, listening to them, right, can be something that is already supportive. But if you know, like, they need a professional intervention, but then they're the one themselves that do not want to get that, you can try to persuade, you can try to educate as well. You know, I know a person who can help, I know this person who has experience, or connect them with another person who share the same experience. That's why I say normalize. If you know another friend who has depression but now is no longer depressed, maybe you can connect that person so that person knows how is it like to go through that similar situation, and be the one to advise how they are able to get help. But in the end, as a therapist myself, I always remind myself the hardest client for me is not client with a severe mental illness, or who has who hears things, who has psychosis, who people might think they are scary. The hardest client is those who are not willing to change. They may come to session, but they themselves do not want to change. So with this client, it's very challenging to work with. I can try my best, but at the end of the day, if they are not ready or they're not willing to change, I'll tell them it's okay. I can see that you're not ready. Go back, think back about it. But if you are ready to do something about your life, then come back and see me. So we can help, but to a certain point, because the person who's going to walk the journey is themselves. You cannot walk the journey of another person. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So the first important step for someone is to allow themselves to get help from others, right? If they don't allow themselves to get help,
if they don't want, if they decided to put a barrier, we can try, but there's a certain limit lah to how much we can do. But I would advise, I would tell myself, I'm gonna do my best, I'm gonna do as much as I could to help. But at the end of the day, it's the person's decision to whether or not to help themselves. It's like this: if a person is drowning, we can throw like a life, you know what you call that, buoyant. We can throw the ropes to tell them to, like, hold on, come here. But if the person is pushing away everything, it's challenging lah. So at that point, actually, what I will do is I will pray to God. I will pray to Allah. Please open up this person's heart to come and seek help. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So, I'm actually interested to know more about your work experience, because I see you have a lot of experience for psychologists. So, so as a prominent mental health advocate, what have been your most rewarding and most challenging moments in your career?
Rewarding, huh? Well, interesting question. I think there's a lot of part. Being a clinical psychologist, I think is a passion that I have, and it's rewarding in a sense that I am able to see changes in people. You know, you may not see big changes, but words like this from my clients, for example, I have clients coming to me, and in the very initial session, the client tell me that she feel very numb. She couldn't feel much emotion, and it's affecting her relationship. So we work on that, and maybe at the 4th or 5th session, this client comes and said, "Oh, I'm feeling angry now. I'm starting to cry now." So for some people, it may seem as like, oh, you know, it's a negative thing. You're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're crying. But to me, I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, because you started to feel emotions again. And I would educate them that emotion tells us something. It's good that you're feeling this emotion. It drives you to take a certain action with what emotion that you feel, and it allows you to start learning how to manage or regulate your emotion. Or as simple as I have been treating. I have not been treating. I wouldn't use the word treating. I've been helping students as well in IUM, and one simple thing that I help is the student came to me feeling stressed because she doesn't know how to say no. She's always helping others to the point that she felt really, really tired. So we work on that. We work on boundary. We work on assertiveness, a skill, how to say no. And she just came in the session and said, "Wow, I said no to my roommate, and I get the weekend off to rest." And she was so happy about it. And I'm like, okay, that's a progress. So simple things like this really made me feel satisfied, and I'm just happy that I could be there to help them. And even now, right now, I'm working with a lot of neurodivergent, and my approach is, rather than asking the person to change or to adapt, I would ask them to know how to self-advocate, meaning how do they tell their needs to other people as well. So with one autistic client that I have, he did struggle with communication, but then what we do is I ask this client to tell others what he would what could help him. For example, hey, I can be very hyper focused on topic, can go very into detail, and then the conversation becomes centered around me. So if I do that, tell me so that I can get back engaged to the conversation. So I told him, like, why not you understand yourself and you let others know that you could be this and this is how they can help. So when he does that, the next session he came back to me and he said, "You know what, I had a really great conversation this morning." He said, I was telling this person that I'm autistic and this is something that I can struggle a bit, and asking the person to ground me to the conversation. And the conversation worked well. I'm not conscious about what I need to say. I'm not always thinking about the right thing to say to people. I can just be myself, speak about my opinion, and it's a great conversation. He said that. So these are the simple things that I do, and I feel very happy to see those changes. The quality of life improve with the clients that I've been helping. So yeah, that would be the good part. The challenging part, of course, certain things could be, sometimes I wish I could help everyone, but unfortunately I think me myself as a human being, I also have limited knowledge, I also have limited time, so not being able to help people who reach out to me, sometimes it breaks my heart lah. But typically I will just tell them, oh hey, we have free counseling here, we have free resources here, we have resources elsewhere that you can try, so you can go there as well to seek help. So I think I do my best lah to be helpful.
Alright, so that's actually inspiring. I'm touched to hear that, because I think I also want to help someone at least. So I think the small thing actually matters the most, right?
Yeah.
Like all the small things.
Yeah, we don't have to be big, grand, or like we don't have to be grand to help people. Like, it can be as simple as being there, listening, validating. Yeah, and then sometimes I wouldn't say a word in the session. I'm like, hey, how are you? And the person start talking in the whole hour, and at the end I just ask, how do you feel now? I feel better that someone is listening to me. So people say like, oh, senang lah jadi therapist. People pay you you bayar Elio je. I'm like, no. There's a skill that we have to be able to listen, to ask questions. So those are also specific skills therapists need to have lah. But yeah, it could be as simple as that, allowing that person a safe space to just be themselves.
So yeah, I think as a student also, we should also always like see the good in small things instead of waiting for big things to happen, right? So thank you, Miss. So as we all know, today we are collaborating with Pierce Gomba. So we will have a special tributes for what happened in this week. So we will take a short break. Hello again, everyone. We're back, and now we're on the Q&A session. So it is open to all the audience. Maybe you can ask maybe a few questions, 2 or 3 questions.
Yes.
I want to ask, what is the most mental health or disease that among university students face?
Oh, university. I don't have the data. I don't have the statistics, but I could say generally, worldwide, anxiety and depression disorders is among the highest that among all the other disorders. Yeah, anxiety disorder and depressive disorder is the top of the list lah. And I see that common in students as well. Did I answer the question?
So
Yeah.
the next question. So people nowadays want to know what is ADHD. So can you tell us about ADHD a bit?
Okay, ADHD. This I've received this question hundreds of times, but I think it's not easy to answer. But let me do my best. Okay, so we can see it from different perspective lah. If we look at the word itself, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so that's the medical term for ADHD, but it's actually a term that is referring to someone who has a very different way of thinking. So you have a certain set of traits that comes with people with ADHD, and the traits could be both negative and positive. Like, say for example, if you talk about, you hear a lot of people say like, oh, people with ADHD cannot focus, and that's something related to distractibility, easily distracted. but the distractibility is also something that helped this person to be creative or to think about something outside the box, because your mind wanders here and there, so you get connections, you see other things differently. Or you talk about hyperactivity, which sounds quite like a negative connotation, but at the same time that hyperactivity also means this person is having high level of energy. So it could be helpful if this person is a sport person, right? Like I think you know Michael Phelps, Simone Biles. So these are individual famous figures with ADHD, and I think they managed to get the good side of that. They're the traits that they have. So it's the way the mind works is different. That probably when you put them in a place that requires structure, that require you to sit down with high level of energy, with the distractibility, and they are needing to do something like how others do, it may cause a problem in their life lah. So you can see people like, oh, this person doesn't pay attention, this person talks a lot, this person doesn't listen to others, or it's being forgetful. So you hear a lot of negative being associated, but there's also something positive with the same way of thinking, the same way of the mind working. So I am a person with ADHD, and I think I used to see myself that way, like, hey, I'm lacking here, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, I'm easily distracted, I cannot focus, blah 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 blah. But then I learned to work around with my brain and see where the same traits become a strength. So actually I do talk a lot, which in class is disruptive. People I get told like, cakap, siapa tu, cerita apa tu, menyimbang apa tu. Even in high school, my teacher was like, I remember my teacher, because I talked too much at the back, she was like, janda-janda kat belakang tu cakap apa tu, menyimbang apa tu. So I remember that very clearly. But say for example now that I know I talk a lot, I know I have a lot of I love doing that. So when I was in my job as a trainer, I need to talk, and I love it, and people love it that I can talk. People would like, Izzat, go. If at my workplace, I remember I was asked a lot of time to be the MC, and I'm like, okay, give me. I don't mind talking, I don't mind. In fact, I like experimenting with my voice, so I can actually change my voice according to how I want it to be. So this is actually my podcast voice. If you talk to me in real person, it will be a different voice. If I do impression of people, it will be different. So I can change my MC voice, for example, like if you want to make it formal, right? Mengumumkan ketibaan yang dipertua. So I like playing around with that. So I think I see that as my strength. So yeah, in explaining that, ADHD is a different way of thinking that could be a problem, but it could also be a strength or an advantage if you know where, if you're in the right place that values this different way of thinking. Yeah. So yeah.
Hello. My question is, how do you explain seasonal depression? Because I know that in the Western culture or the Western perspective, seasonal depression only happens during the winter. The weather somehow make them feel sad.
Yeah.
But there's also in situation, typically in Malaysia, since we don't actually have winter weather, but from my perspective, how do you explain a situation where these people only have depression or only on that moment or only on that period of time? For example, this person get very sad, very depressed, very anxious, but as soon as this season ends, they felt normal again. So what is this? So
Okay.
how do you cope? How do you do? What is this?
To be honest, if you ask me, I've never had any clients like that, so I really couldn't tell if I know seasonal affective disorder. It happens in Western country because of the surrounding, the weather could be gloomy, could be dark. You may meet less people during that season, but I have never encountered in my experience someone who has that in Malaysia. So I'm really not able to tell like if or to explain why that happened. Perhaps when I do meet, I'm the one who will be curious, like, okay, tell me more. But if you ask me my take on diagnosis, this is something that I always remind myself. Diagnosis is there to help explain what's going on, but essentially I see human being as, them how do I say this? A diagnosis helps to understand, but I hold on to it lightly. Rather than saying like, oh, you have depression, this is your disorder, this is what I'm going to diagnose you, I see more of, okay, this is what you're going through, but let's try to understand what's going on and what are the things that we can do together so that you're able to manage, you're able to work your way around it, you're able to find solutions to your problem. So regardless of it's a major depressive, if the depression is seasonal, if depression or the depressive symptoms is just 1 week, that it's not enough to say that it's a major depressive disorder, I'm still going to help you anyway. So that would be more of my perspective lah. But other therapists or other mental health professionals may have a different opinion. This is where I stand lah. If there's a need for diagnosis, for example, there's a need for you to take medication, or you need to be able to tell your employer that you need certain accommodation because of your condition, then let's maybe the diagnosis serve a purpose lah. But if not, I focus more on what I can do to help you with what you are experiencing. Yeah. Yes. Nak? Boleh, Sarap boleh. Bahasa Cina boleh. 可以. Ni awak wo. Okay.
Tadi sister cakap tak semua orang senang nak jumpa doktor. Sampai 6 bulan. Tapi kita ada macam nak jumpa lecturer ataupun orang yang lebih wise daripada kita. So macam mana kita nak approach orang? Sebab dia mungkin bukan dari background mental health ke, tapi kita nak approach. How do we approach them?
How do we approach?
Those kind of people.
Meaning macam mana?
Bukan psychiatrist ke, bukan macam
Okay, yeah. How do we approach? I'm trying to understand the question.
to ask for help.
I think just ask. It's literally just going and opening up, being vulnerable, and just see how the person would respond. Even before I'm doing a bit of self-disclosure. Even before I am even in this mental health field. When I was a student, back then I didn't know I had ADHD, was diagnosed, but I do struggle from a lot of things in life, and my emotion tends to be very big, and I tend to struggle a lot with emotions. And when things happen, I can't remember how many times I've cried in the lecturer's office. I just go there, I just say, Madam, in fact I asked my lecturer, Madam, is it okay if I don't go to your classes? Because I'm not okay. Then I think all my lecturers are very kind. I remember there's one lecturer, she passed away. Al-Fatihah lah. But I remember crying in her office. She was just there sitting listening to me, and then she just said like, Izzat, can I offer you a hug? And I'm like, yeah. So I think my own experience, when I struggle, I reach out. They were very helpful. Even one lecturer, when I was when I told her I don't want to go to your class, I don't want to go to any class, I don't want to do anything, and she just said, okay, come to class. But whenever she see me, I think she changes the whole subject. We're supposed to learn this topic A. It's a sports psychology class, but she changes the syllabus. She decided to, instead of teaching A, it's the next syllabus. She bring it forward, and the syllabus talks about managing stress. And I was thinking that the lecturer did that on purpose to help me. So she wasn't really helping me directly, but she was helping me in that sense. And sometimes whenever I was just wandering off in class, she would just, while talking to the rest of the class, she came to me and she would just rub my back. So, okay class, when we are stressed, so she was talking, but I know she was trying to help me come back and focus. So I think these are my personal experience where I feel even talking to a lecturer who we know would listen, who we know care about us, can be very helpful in us trying to go through the difficult moments that we have. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful I have really good lecturers, and until today I think I keep in touch. I still go and visit them during Hari Raya. We talk, we stay in touch in Facebook. So my generation, we use Facebook together with the lecturer, so we still stay in touch until today. How many years has it been? I think almost 8 years since I left. So
Okay.
I hope that answers.
Okay, thank you all the audience for the questions and Miss Izzat for all the answers. So I think today's discussion has been really, really interesting, and I hope we can actually continue more, but unfortunately already come to the end. So but before we end our sessions, can you give us a final advice for people out there who still struggling with mental health and who still, maybe some of them who are scared to reach out for help?
Okay. It's scary. I think if you do struggle, number one, I think just acknowledge that you're struggling. Itu je dulu. Acknowledge that I am struggling, I'm not okay. Then from there on, I think if you want to go and seek help, even going to seek help, find a person who you can trust, because sometimes maybe we go to someone but we felt like that person is not helping and it's making things worse. So if we do have a friend who we know, oh, this friend is always there for me, will be helping me, just reach out. And if we think like we can be a burden to them, right, I will always ask, this is what I always ask my client lah, if the same friend is struggling and would come to you for help, would you help them? Would you want to help them? And they usually say yes. And I think that's how your friend feels for you as well. They would want to help you. So don't just be alone. Always be together. If you're alone, I think that's, you call that, we have this idiom, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. In Islam, I think that's also when we are isolating ourselves from others. That's when it's easier for us to be influenced by shaitan lah. I as a Muslim, I believe in that. So keep ourselves occupied, even if it's not with friends. We can go to the mosque where there's always people surrounding us. Maybe we just sit down and then we hear khutbah, and then something might be helping for us. But keep ourselves with people. Don't isolate ourselves. So when we are ready, just come and seek help. So seeking help is not a form of weakness. I see that if we are being resourceful, it could even be a strength for us, because maybe at one point we're seeking help from others, but when others are struggling, we may be the person also sharing, because we've gone through that. It's like we've fallen down, we know how to get back up, and so we can help others to do the same thing. Yeah. So, there's an analogy that I want to give. Imagine a baby, if when they're trying to learn how to walk, say if the baby doesn't give up after first time, fall down and then malah lah nak jalan, tak nak lah bangun kan. I don't think babies do that, right? They fall down, they may be scared, but they try again. They fall down, but they try again until they learn, they develop the skill to actually do it. And the most important thing, it's not just the baby coming back up again, but it's the parents who will always, be ready if the baby falls down. And that's our role as therapists. We're providing you that safe space if you want to try to get back up. It's like parents, it's okay, just walk. You're not going to fall down. So that's our role as a mental health professional. We want to create that safe space for you to try again. If you try and you fail, it's okay. Let's try again, a different method. Let's do it differently. Let's see how things work. If you're falling down, I'm here. So we provide that safe space. So come lah, kan? YE pun ada CCSC, PS pun ada kan? I think you guys are trained as well to provide a bit of help as well. So just come and seek help. Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Izzat, for this wonderful and precious advice. I hope everyone, all the audience, can take all the beneficial sharing and maybe use it in our life and maybe to help others. Because me myself, I really enjoyed today's discussions, and I hope I can actually use all the information I get today to help my friends or families. And thank you. Thank you to all our viewers for being here and listening to us. And most importantly, thank you to IIUM Gombak Peers because willingly to collaborate with us. And thanks again, Ms. Izzat, for coming here. So as usual, if you want to watch our podcast, you can watch on our YouTube, IIUM FM. And do check us out on our social media, on Instagram, IIUM_FM, and on TikTok at IIUM FM.
I want to add a bit. If you guys want to know more about ADHD, you can follow Minda Inclusive. We do a lot of psycho-education on ADHD as well. Okay? Follow tau.
And do follow Peers also at Peers IIUM. Around you for you. So see you later, future millennials. Goodbye and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.